Once upon a time, there was a king who was getting old. Now, this king had always wanted to leave a legacy that he would be remembered by after he was gone. And now that his time was getting closer, he knew he had to do something about it. So one day, he asked his men to get the biggest rock that they could find. And his men did find a giant rock, and it was placed right in the middle of the kingdom. The next day, the king made an announcement and he said, "This rock will be inscribed with words that would live on for hundreds of generations. You and I will be long gone, but the words on this rock will live forever. So what gets written on this rock has to be profound, meaningful, and timeless." With that said, he announced a huge reward for anyone who suggested something that was worthy of being inscribed on that giant rock. In the lure of a huge reward, hundreds of people started pouring in from all over his kingdom. Some came up with songs of the king's praise, some came up with some moral stories, and some with some religious texts, but nothing really made sense to the king. After several weeks of this drama, the king got disheartened and thought of giving up. But then his trusted minister advised him to invite the 3 wise men who he believed could help. So as the last resort, the king reluctantly agreed to give these men a chance. So when the king met these 3 wise men, he pointed at the giant rock and said, "I want to write something on this rock that is so profound, meaningful, and timeless that it would keep guiding humanity for hundreds and thousands of years." And with that, he gave them 1 week to think over. 1 week later, the wise men came back and handed the king a small note. The king was very surprised because he was expecting something longer, but this was just 1 line, and that too with just 4 words. And the note read, "This too shall pass." Now at first the king was very annoyed. He had been waiting for the whole week for these guys to come back and give him something meaningful, and all they could come up with are these just 4 measly words, "This too shall pass." But when the king read those words again, the profoundness and meaning of those words sunk in his heart, and he knew that these timeless words were worthy of going on that rock. So that was going to be his legacy. Now I'm sure that you would have heard this fable in different contexts and probably with different characters, but the meaning behind these words is profound. The way I interpret this line is that our time in this world is limited, and nothing that happens to us during this brief stint matters in the long run. Things that bother us today will not keep bothering us forever, because this too shall pass. When I was a kid, I used to worry about grades. Well, that phase has passed. I don't worry about grades anymore. When I was in college, I used to worry about getting a job. That phase passed, and I don't worry about that anymore. When I started working, I used to worry about getting promoted or getting a salary hike, and that phase has passed too, and I don't worry about that anymore. And this cycle keeps repeating for all of us, right? Getting married, buying a house, having kids, raising kids, kids' education, and it goes on and on and on. But what remains true always is that this too shall pass. Nothing lasts forever, nothing matters forever. At the end, the reality is that our time in this world is limited. One day we all have to go, but what we do with this time is left up to us. We can either choose to live a meaningful life and be happy, or be stuck in this endless cycle of happiness and sorrow caused by transient issues that will not matter in the long run. So if you're feeling down today, if you're feeling hopeless today, if you're down on your luck, and if you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, just take comfort in these timeless words that this too shall pass.